Hello! Welcome to the dev stream number 20, featuring myself and, of course, my good friend here, Gul Dukat.
Oh, hey. How you doing?
I'm doing alright, how about you?
Still breathing. Always helps.
Yeah, breathing tends to be a requirement. Well, this is the wrong tab.
That's what they tell me. That is what they tell me.
This is the wrong tab. I don't need that at all. I need the piece of paper that I've got next to me. Because what I'm going to be doing is making abilities for the Titan. What are you going to be doing?
Today I'm going to be continuing a bit of the research. At least that's the intent.
Are you now?
Yeah, we haven't really blocked out a lot of the research, so that's something that I certainly need to look at. And one of those things that I almost certainly feel the need to do is to take a look at the space frames again. We've got various stations, if you like. Sorry? Well, I'm going to start with Feds, but they'll effectively be duplicated with slight positional differences for the Klingons. So I need to look at the type of space stations that we have and put those behind some kind of wall.
Alrighty.
So that's going to be a thing that is going to get done today in the space frame research. And we've got 4 different types of star bases, haven't we? We've got
yes, we do.
A defensive one, a logistics one, a economic one, and a research one. Science.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to need to look at today, primarily.
Right, so I'm going to be working first on the ability called Rotate Shield Frequencies, which is a shield recharge plus damage debuff for the Titan. So, because it's basically buffed itself as well. Rotate shields. And I'm just going to open this entity, and I need to move this to ability B level. Could you do me a favor?
It's entirely plausible.
Could you send me the sound folder of A3?
Yes.
In a zip, because...
I was going to say, maybe...
Hey, Schism, hey, Khan.
Maybe a little bit too large for me to send you.
Well, I don't need all the voice files. It just requires some of the ability sounds, because I want to reuse one.
Reasonable. I'm just zipping it up now. I'll let you know what size it ends up as. Yeah, it's about 350 meg.
And if you cut out all the voice files?
I don't think there's a lot of point actually doing so. I can't remember what the limit that I can send you is.
5 meg on here. Basically, I want the from the Norway. From the Norway, I want the sound of the rotate shield frequencies, because the sound is useful, and I'm going to put a TOS sound in front of it.
So you'd primarily want to go with Fed stuff then, I presume?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll just zip up the Fed sounds.
That'll do.
And I'll cut out any of the hero sounds as well.
Yeah, I don't need those. Fed buff Titan rotate shields. Now what I'm going to do, folks, during the stream is I'm also going to add icons. I'm going to create particle effects. I'm going to go nuts. I'm going to do a whole shebang, the whole biggity baggity boom.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Right. I need to do find the sins def that I've got here. Sins def. And I need to find entity modifiers. Six people watching now. That's already good.
Hey, hello, Schism, and hello, Khan.
So this is the sins definition viewer, which allows me to see what can go where. So we're going to need a buff. We're going to need an entity modifier, and what I will want. What? Don't mention sins 2? Are you going to tell us something more about sins 2? Tell us more about sins 2, Schism. No, I need an overtime action for this one. And I know I've done overtime before recently, which was on the Fed buff. Fleet tender. Emergency dump self. There we go. Just need to copy an overtime action.
There you go. Those are the specific Fed sounds that I could find. About 3.9 meg.
That's good. Yeah, what I needed is the... No. Combat man. Combat maneuvers, of course, yeah.
There we go.
Reversing the polarity, of course. Am I broken?
This loss is a great.
Right, let's have a think about the tiers that we want to do. While you're looking for that, let's have a think about the tiers that we want to do for the various star bases.
Yes.
I'm thinking 2, 4, 6, and 8.
Oh no.
Because we don't want one immediately, do we?
I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to do this. Oh. I forgot to set up the music.
Whoopsie daisy. So as a line of attack, I'm guessing that as the Federation, you'd want to unlock the economic starbase first. I think that would stand to reason, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I think for the Feds, I might want to go economic, science, logistics, and then defense. And then we'll change that up a little bit for the other races. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Okay, that works for me. Let's do this thing.
All right. Apparently, I don't have the proper sound, so it doesn't work. And I need to... Where was I doing? Yes, I need to do a shield recharge. So I need to find an overtime action. Restore shields. Copy. And of course I need the line restore shield rate, which replaces that. Let's make that 50, 60, 70 and 80. I have no idea if this is going to be overpowered or not. The other one should be a damage debuff. So that would be a damage as damage target. I need to check my DMs, according to Schism.
Is that right?
He sent me memes, but that's not important right now. I'm sorry, Schism.
No, we're actually going to try and take things a little bit more seriously today, so it's something that we will certainly have a look at later on after the stream.
Let's see, restore shields and damages damage target. All right. Now let's get that's the buff itself. Let's add it to the entity manifest. Let's just copy those. 8-9. That would be 9-1. Fed ability Titan. Rotate shields. Schism says foiled. Yes. And we're going to need 2 strings as well.
Okay. That should work. Now, speaking of our star bases, should we only be able to deploy them if the research labs exist? I think yes on that one.
Yes.
That works for me. There we go. Let's go for this one.
I'm writing a simple description string, so
don't change strings. Got it.
Thank you, Schism. Alright, so shield recharge and damage debuff. Alright, that's fine. Copy the string into the ability file. That's already done. Right, first things first, I'm going to need a new sound. So we're going to grab Audacity. Yes, I got it, Schism. I understood. Okay, data. So what I'm going to take, there's some sounds that I've got from an older game, which will work perfectly for this. Sounds effects. Now, of course, we're going to have the old TOS klaxony buttony sound, so that would be... Oh, of course. Yeah, we can't have music.
Is it because you're using a different sound thing? Just use Windows Media Player and cue them up that way, and then you can use the other sound player for those. That's what I would do anyway.
Oh, that works. So... And then there's a nice fed... energy shields. Fed energy shields. Put that... Is there a shields up and shields down sound that I can find here?
I don't think we've ever used that, have we?
What?
A shields up or a shields down thing.
No, but we've got plenty of sounds for it.
That's true.
Turn the music slightly down. I'm going to need this program files folder. Nope.
So if anybody's got any, Trek related questions that they want to ask or they want to discuss Trek, go for it, folks, because we're more than happy to discuss Trek in general. In fact, I suspect it would be quite enjoyable.
Sunderecho says what? Yeah.
Oh, go on, you do it.
Sunderecho says watching Sins modding while modding Sins myself.
What is it you're working on today, Sundered?
Tracks, mix and render. Export audio. Fed ability. Titan. Rotate. Shields. Dawn of the Reapers, he says.
Oh, very nice.
What particular thing are you working on for Dawn of the Reapers?
There we go. Do we already have iconography in place for the star bases?
Build buttons, yes. 6-8.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't need to loop.
Well, that's quite useful.
6-9. That would be 70 because I just noticed that I forgot to do something. We're rebuilding the mod from the ground up at the moment, says Sunderecho, getting rid of the horrible file names and 6-year-old code. Yeah, that's a useful trick to do. Alright, so I've just added the sound effects to the game. So that's the sound effects. Now we're going to create the particle, but we're going to need some textures for that first. I'm going to need some shields, so let's make a 512 by 512 texture. It's more than big enough.
Right, just to confirm, we haven't got bespoke abilities to deploy starbases right now, have we?
What do you mean?
Well, when it comes to starbases, you of course deploy them from pre-existing item, right?
No, I made new abilities and everything.
You did?
Of course I did. I made a you have to, or else it wouldn't work. You need to, because every starbase needs its own origin ability. So, you know, because a starbase has a file like I'm created from this ability.
Did you perhaps make a... Did you perhaps change the naming convention halfway through?
No.
Okay.
It's Fed ability deploy starbase economic, I think. Fed ability
Oh, yeah.
deploy starbase, yeah.
That'll do.
Right, so textures. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a texture similar to A3.
Okay.
With when it comes to shield rings. Only I'm going to be slightly more Starfleet Command inspired.
Tell me more.
Yo, I'll have to call again. It's going to be 3 concentric rings. Now, in order to make sure that I have the same width between everything.
I'm trying to keep an eye on what you're doing by watching the stream as well, so. Well, that's good, Sundered. How do you feel your progress has been so far? I've been keeping an eye on the page. Oh, that's good. I'm glad about that.
Right.
I'm going to assume, and this is a fair assumption on my part, so my apologies if it's not accurate. I presume once you've rebuilt the mod to the point that you want to, you're going to do a little bit of work on the Reapers as well. I don't think they, in the previous versions, they didn't get as much love. Good stuff. Good to hear, my man.
The question, though, is he the last laser master?
Oh, no, don't do this.
This doesn't work. Or is he the last laser mazer?
Laser mazer. Okay, so let's go. Grab this one. Okay.
Right, that's the texture. I think that's all I'll need for rotate shield frequencies. Save as. GJ. Fed. Abilities. Titan. Rotate shields. Particle Forge, where are you at? By the way, folks, what do you think of the banner underneath in the stream? Is it too much or is it fine the way it is? Thank you, Rosius.
Wilsius seems to quite like it. Dalek Seth says, YouTube only just told me about the stream. What's this one about? It's about making abilities, doing research for AOTF.
Yeah, it's always going to be for AOTF. GS Shadowed Ship. Now what I'm going to do right now, folks, I'm just going to plop in the actual Constitution mesh, just so I know how big the particle needs to be. If we look now, look at that, it's a Connie! Blah, 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 blah. So what I can do now, let's call this ship. Did you say ship?
Oh my.
New point. And we're going to make it 225 by 225.
I have a feeling the thing that I'm in the process of doing is actually going to highlight an issue. With the fact that I didn't do something a while back that I perhaps should have done.
Is this one of those typical I should have done things while I really didn't feel like it?
Yeah, you know the arrows between research subjects?
And you forgot to do a couple of them, didn't you?
Yeah, there's one or two that I didn't bother doing. Why is the Connie wibbling so much?
Right, texture primary for this is going to be the one that we just made. Fed abilities. Titan rotate shields. Hey, look at that! It's a shield ring! Now I'm going to keep this round for a very particular reason, which you'll see in a minute. It needs to be slightly bigger. That seems alright. Now we're going to set it not to camera, it's parallel. That means it'll always face a certain direction, so we're going to set angle variance to 0. So right now it's like this, that's not how we want it. We want it kind of rotated negative 90 degrees if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, look at that.
Looking good.
So I'm going to call this shield underscore top. So step 1 is we're going to make these particles last about 2 seconds. And we're going to add a fade. I'll call this fade underscore shields. Set it to true, 0.5 by 0.5. I'm going to attach an emitter, which is going to be the shield top one. If you look now, you'll see that it fades. You can see it because it's pulsing. What we're going to do with this is we're going to add a random rotation. We're going to set the rotation start and finish as the same. We're going to set the minimum speed to minimum speed 125 by a maximum of 125. So if you look, you'll see that the shield is rotating a bit. So let's set that a bit faster, shall we? So if you look now, you'll see that the shields are rotating and they're fading and they're changing direction. But we've only got it at the top because their parallel particles only are one-sided. So we're going to need to put this on the bottom as well. So let's duplicate this. Let's call it shield underscore bottom. With this, we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. So look, that's already it's already rotating because it took those values. Now, all we're going to do is add it to the fade as well.
Slightly off, isn't it?
That's fine.
Oh, there you go. I'm a little bit behind on the stream, of course.
I set it the rotation speed to slightly slower. Now, to make it slightly more interesting, we're gonna make this slightly more interesting. We're gonna add a linear inflate to both those and set it to minus 25. And with that, we can actually make the particle last slightly longer. How do you feel about this, folks? Does this look alright? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get rid of the ship, because we don't need that. I'm going to make it slightly faster in shrinking to 55. So what we're going to do now is, because we're going to set the ability, the global property, so we're going to set the lifetime infinite to false. We'll set that to 15 seconds, and what we're going to do is we're going to set the infinite time off on the particle emitter itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the particle emitter last 12 seconds, meaning that it creates new particles for 12 seconds, and we're going to make sure that the last particle is faded out before the global 15 are up. So if we should look, now it shouldn't spawn anymore. And the particle still exists for about 1 second, meaning that the particle's no longer being loaded into the game afterwards. So what we're going to go is fed ability, rotate shields. Oh wait, we're going to call this fed ability Titan. Rotate shields. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply that particle effect to the center of the ability. Now I've got one more thing to do, and that is to create an icon.
Good old icon creation.
Yep. So I've already got a bunch if we've got match frequencies here. I'm not even sure if that icon is implemented. No, it's not. I still need to implement that as well. Well, I've got 2 icons to implement. So what we're going to need is we're going to find a shield icon, because I want an icon of just a shield. Nice, simple shield icon will do. Trying to find one where the shape matches what I want of it. And that one's good. Just going to print screen this. We're just going to go like this. Copy that.
Slight issue.
Mm-hmm.
I have noted that perhaps Chief, I don't think he pushed the unversioned files.
On?
For the latest research, well, for the latest Starbase upgrades that he made.
Oh, why?
I think it was probably an oversight on his part. I'm just looking for several files, which is CLE SBUPG underscore colonize, just as an example, and I can't find those in the game files.
He hasn't made them all. Oh, it should be there. They're not there. He forgot to push them. I'll remove them from the manifest.
Don't worry, I'm just about to do that.
Yeah, but I've already added stuff to my manifest. Remember?
As have I.
Right, so now we've got a shield icon. Let's make a let's get a rotation icon. So we're going to do the same with that. Oh. So we're going to add a nice pattern on the shields. Color overlay of that. Blue shield, set that to. Let's make the rotation-y thing a bit nicer.
It's looking good.
Thank you. I'm making this yellow to give it a bit more contrast so it's a bit easier to see. It's easier for the eye to see that it's a rotation thing.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely happy with that outer cloud that turned off, so I'm just going to use a stroke as the... There we go. Get the drop shadow to be a bit more intense.
Sunder was saying a little while ago that he wishes he could art.
That was Sundered as well. So we've got one more step to do for this. We've got to define what kind of abilities these are. Well, funny enough, these are both science abilities. Actually, no, one of them is an offensive ability, so we need to get rid of blue on this one. So let's get rid of blue. There we go. It's red now. Now all I've got to do is copy these to the other ones as well. AOTF, research icons, click 2, disable 2, and hover 2. Open these up. These contain the hover, click, and disabled files when you're looking at the abilities. It basically means that you know what you're looking at. So let's copy these two folders to the other files. So we're going to copy these to hover 2. We're going to duplicate. Oh shit, didn't mean to do that.
Oh shit, indeed.
Oh wait, I did do it right, never mind. To duplicate. Oh, this is duplicate layers, okay, never mind. Click 2 and...
Since you're working on Connie stuff, how do you feel about the original Connie versus the TMP Connie?
I prefer the TMP Connie.
Me too. I mean, I was thinking about it the other day, and like, I know that people really love the original Connie, but the TMP Connie's got such a special place in my heart.
It's just good design. Now, by the way, I'm just placing them in the correct folder that I've put them in. So I've got a Titan buttons folder.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Are you doing anything with strings at the minute?
Yes, I'm adding 2 of them.
Okay.
Alright, so that's that. We're going to save all these PSDs.
Can you do me a little favour?
No, not yet. Because I'm focusing on this at the minute. Give me about 5 minutes.
Okay.
I meant to save this not as a 24-bit, but I needed this as a 32-bit. Because if I say that's a 24-bit, it means that it does not include the alpha channel. The alpha channel is quite an important part in this document. So I need to fix that mistake by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That would make it 91, that would make it 80. Right, so final steps. I need the brush file. Window file, actually. By the way, is the music anything too loud? Is it alright? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy one of these brushes. And now these are X coordinates, Y coordinates, and the width and length. Or whatever way around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab Photoshop here. I'm going to zoom in so I can see the literal pixels. And I'm going to grab the ruler tool, which is going to tell me the exact X and Y coordinates of the button. Now in this case it's X0 by 310Y, so the value here would be 0 by 310. Copy this, paste this line right on the other ones. Of course I've done 2 of them. Need to copy the second one as well. I need to check where the other button is located. That's 87 by 310. And I realize I made a mistake on the buttons, so I need to fix that in a second. Because as you remember, folks, I made one of the buttons red, which I forgot to do on the click and hover ones. But first we're going to call this HUD icon FET Titan upgrade. Yeah, we're going to call it Titan upgrade. And we're going to call this Titan upgrade match freq, and Titan upgrade rotate shields. Copy these into the brush file, set that to 36, and what we're going to do is we're going to apply the button to the actual thing. And we're going to also do this on the other ability, which I forgot to do yesterday. Ability tank.
Looks that there's a minor error in match frequencies at the moment, but you've probably fixed it while you've been doing stuff today.
Which is?
AI use time condition. There's something it doesn't like about that.
Oh, I haven't even messed with it.
Yeah, it's just an error it's throwing on startup.
What kind of error?
Unfortunately, I've already clicked skip on all of it, so I'd have to go again. But I'm just checking my work. I think there might be an additional line that you need within the ability, or perhaps things need to be rearranged just a smidge.
Just need to check one of the abilities, scatter shot.
Whoop. I've done an initial push on what I'm working on. There will be a conflict in the entity manifest, but it can be easily rationalized.
Okay, hold up. Only hold up. Ability A level. Why is this so annoying? Why is this? Ability disruption matrix. That's not a useful one. Ability furious defense then. Actually, I'm going to use that. I use him only when hull damage extends for the rotate shields. Oh, I know why. There's an entire piece that it doesn't need.
I think that's probably it, yeah.
It's the minimum experience required line.
Yeah, that stands to reason.
Should do it.
We should probably have a chat at some point about ship abilities, which ones we consider more valuable, and therefore which ones we should
the ultimate
have behind...
ones.
Well, that too, but which this is just general ship abilities. Which ones we should have behind research walls?
Fair enough. Yeah.
So we won't do that today because I mean that's probably going to be quite an in-depth discussion, and we're here a little bit to entertain if we can.
Ability A level. I'm doing way too much stuff. This can never end well. Alright, we're gonna need HUD icon for match frequencies for ability A level. Oh. Now ability B level. We're gonna need string for rotate shield frequencies name. That's that. Now we need to copy the brush. Rotate shields. Paste you there. 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 And there. Alright, now let's grab Fed Titan Constitution and apply the upgrades. And B. And let's apply the actual abilities. And let's test this fucko, shall we? Who's curious on how quickly the game's going to crash?
I chose not to make any string changes because I don't want you to have to rationalize two conflicts, if you know what I mean. So you'll have to have a little bit of a mess around with the entity manifest.
I've already changed mine, so you're going to have to fix it.
Mine's already pushed.
You son of a... I'll end you.
I didn't put the strings in though. So half and half. Oh, Sundered Echo would actually like to see
what the TMP versus TOS Constitution.
No, he would like to see. He would like to listen in on our discussion about what ship abilities are more valuable than others.
Oh yeah. Oh, so you. Oh yeah. Of course, we want the level unlocks thing, don't we?
And also just general abilities, like just for an example, is one of the Yorktown abilities so valuable that we should put it behind research? Is one of the I don't know, Poseidon abilities so valuable that we should put it behind
yeah,
research?
of course. Yeah. Well, I was thinking, of course, that one of the two cruiser abilities and for frigate abilities should be locked behind research. One of the two, kind of like how stock is. You know how one of them is locked behind the research while the other is not. And I forgot to do. I forgot to do a thing. I need to quit the game. I'm not finished yet.
I hate it when that happens. I really feel for you there.
You realise, like, no, I forgot a thing. Right.
I really hate that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to reopen the game, and I can let you know how much space that we've got, and therefore how many abilities that we can we can feasibly and reasonably.
What I forgot to do, folks, is if you look at hover 2 and click 2 on the PSDs, you'll see that this is still blue. Well, it should be red. So let's make sure that that is blue.
You saved them to Targa as well, didn't you, of course?
Yeah, of course I did. Sins can't load PSDs. Oh, by the way, Schism, new demand for Sins 2. Loading PSDs.
That'd be interesting.
Raw.
And wriggling.
But we've got a lot of demands for Sins 2. You know, you should hire us to make Sins 2 so we can work on the mod while we work on the game.
That'd be interesting. A mod that ships the same day as the game.
I don't see a problem.
Be damn well commitment, wouldn't it?
What? Which file has that open?
I don't know if Schism's still here, but if he is, I like your new user icon.
It wasn't updated. Oh.
Flip the table, Max. Right, in the upgrade window, we've got... Well, the absolute maximum that we could fit in would be about 16.
That's more than enough.
Yep, okay. So, I'll take a look at the...
Because of course the caps don't need...
It looks like your stream might just be struggling a little bit. Make sure that your quality is okay.
How do I check?
In OBS, you should have a little green light.
That's green.
Okay. Interesting. It just seems to be stuttering for me. On YouTube specifically. So maybe YouTube's having a mare. Let me just refresh. Maybe I need to do that. Oh, no, it's fine now. It was YouTube itself having a mare.
Right, this should have done it. Now, folks, if the game crashes, I will have screwed up, and it'll be my fault.
Okay, once you've done that, if you would... I need to share screens with you. Once you've done that, if you direct your eyes to my screen.
Yep, we're going to test these abilities real quick, and then... Well, it didn't crash on load, so that's a good sign. I just love little Gowron, little Gull sitting in the corner right there on the screen.
They're just chilling.
Staring straight into your soul. Blunk! Nah.
We also need to talk about VOs for the Fed.
I've got most of them in.
I'm talking about the announcer. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get.
We haven't got enough dilithium and all that kind of.
We need to get Vaughn Armstrong to voice it for us.
Oh, that'd be nice. I reckon if we email Will Wheaton, he'll be well up for it.
I wouldn't even want that. I'd rather have a deaf Mark Alamo screaming through the phone.
Actually, Will Wheaton's got quite a nice voice these days. He doesn't sound bad.
Shut up, Wesley! Gotta love that loading time of uncompressed sins.
Oh, it's awful, isn't it? The thing is, I mean, it's going to get less ultimately anyway, even uncompressed, because we've got a lot in the entity manifest that we can do away with.
Yeah, of course, it's still loading all the stock stuff.
That's exactly right. So once we get rid of a lot of the gumph that we don't need from the entity manifest, that's going to put us in a much better position. But what we do need to do is we need to go through all of the files that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them have been created based on stock files, and make sure that there are no stock references in there.
Well,
Once we've done that, we can then delete from the entity manifest. We also need to go through the GSD as well to make sure that they're all gone.
GSD is pretty cleaned out already, to be fair.
Oh, that's great. But that's no,
wait, it's not.
Now. That's not like we need to do it right now. Necessity, is it?
Alright, so you got a Connie here, don't we? Look at that, it's got the buttons. We need to change that string phase missile efficiency to shield penetration. Right, so let's have a look, see and see if these abilities actually do their thing in game. I'm gonna actually turn the music off for a second. I'm gonna turn the game sound slightly up. Turn the music off for copyright reasons. But if you listen to the engines of the Connie in a second, you need to change that horrible hyperspace sound. There's a really nice ambient engine sound that we've got, don't we?
You call me Connor then? Yes, we do.
Chris? if you listen closely.
Yeah, it's the old boo sound.
You done ruined it now.
Shush people. It's very bad.
So let's do those match frequencies. Look at that. And now if you look, some of the beams will actually penetrate the shields. And oh no, our shields are being slightly drained. Let's fix that. Look, shield restore rate. Oh. That's an error on the buff.
Uh-oh. What happened?
It's just a case of an inverted number.
Oh, whoopsie.
Yeah, so
is it red as opposed to green?
yeah. So yeah, it's taking more damage as it damaged targets, but it needs to take less. I'm not going to update in real time this, unfortunately.
That's okay. I mean, you'll have it done, which is the main thing, isn't it?
It has updated the
Rolsius likes the look of it.
I think this Connie will be fine though. Its shields are back up. Oh, that was a nice shot where it fired both phasers. Match the target shields frequencies and penetrate their shields. Alright, it gives those shields a boost. Thank you. Finish him off. Now with AOTF we wanted to make the phasers, everything less flashy. Sorry, the ability effects less flashy than they were in A3. So in A3 we had a lot of fancy dancy particles jumping around. We wanted it to be more like a tactical display on this.
It's one of the complaints that we had about people trying to take screenshots as well, believe it or not. I think because we've made a reasonable deal of effort, or, well, not me, but because the team have made such a good deal of effort with making the ships look nice in the first place, it was kind of a shame that we were ruining screenshots by putting massive ability clouds up there.
Ah, thank you, Khan.
So I think there's a little bit less of that now, which is great.
Finish him off. So if you listen closely now. Funny enough, some of the other ships have got something similar. The capital ships, for example, have a slightly different sound.
think several of our cruisers have got interesting ones as well, haven't they?
No, they don't yet. Well, yeah, this is like the
The AXA sound.
mm-hmm. JJ sound.
Don't hate me,
Hmm?
but you could almost use the disco bridge sounds for some of them.
But there's not a good streaming sound. There's not a good
Oh,
quality
isn't there?
sound. No.
I haven't actually had a look at this.
No, these are all like these were from like a DVD. Like the JJ one is from a DVD where
I thought you'd actually made compound sounds.
no, this is from a DVD of '09, and there's like this interactive thing where you can go to the bridge, and it has this on a loop, and it's like 2.5 tracks of bridge, 2.5 minutes of bridge sounds just on a loop. And the TOS, and there was something similar from a game from TOS, and the TOS had so much silence as well, where you just had ambient noise.
It's kind of a shame that there isn't a good recording of the disco bridge sounds, because they actually did a good job on that.
Yes, they used Klingon alerts on a Federation vessel, Chris. They did a great job on the sounds.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the ambient bridge noises.
It was used as one of the alarm sounds on the bridge.
Well, we're not going to let this devolve into a disco bitch fest, because that's one of Hobbs's complaints.
No, that was a Star Wars bitch fest. Anyway, yeah, I think I'm gonna almost stop the stream. We streamed for over an hour almost.
Okay, you probably should go over to my screen as I've been saying. But,
sorry.
So we can have a brief discussion about this.
Dragging you over now.
Okie dokie.
And they should be able to see you. Yes.
Okay, right. So you see where we're at here. There are a couple of things that I need to do on this screen. For example, I'm going to elongate this research a little bit.
Of course, yeah.
This cluster here. Just to give it a little bit more body. So it's going to come out to here instead.
It could be even more and have some abilities interjected between.
Well, my intent, I need to keep these connected to one another. So I won't put abilities in between. But we've got 2 slots down here.
We could just use them for cruiser abilities, couldn't we?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to do cruiser abilities over here. And then...
What if you, silly one, if you move that entire block 1 up, then you'd have a block, then you'd have an empty line in between, on top and bottom.
We can certainly do that.
It's a bit easier for the eye.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, these are all in temporary positions anyway. Like, for example, we've got the space frames one over here, which this is the problem, by the way.
Yeah.
I've made kind of lines of delineation between things. So I've got all the ships at the top, and then I've got a little gap, and then the buildings are below. Whoop. There's a string that I haven't done.
Chris doesn't conform to my method of capitalization on things, and that bugs the hell out of me.
What do you mean?
That res is like res in all caps. It should be capital R, small letter E, small letter S. But that's just me being me. The pop-up that just came.
As long as it works.
Exactly. It just irks me when I'm looking through the strings.
But there we go. What I might actually do is I might move this, these station unlocks to the bottom and put these above it. So we go tactical starbase.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then I've got a lot of work to do in the logistical area, kind of dilithium mining upgrades,
trade upgrades,
So there's going to be a lot to go in here over the next week or so. I will look at the abilities. I think what I'll probably do is I'll just make my own mind up about which ones I think are more valuable.
Yeah, I'll defer to your judgment, but mind you, if you put the first ability on an unlock, like ability 0, I'd rather have you switch them around on the ship so that ability 0 is the one that's always unlocked.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. That's not unreasonable.
Yeah, it's just a lot easier for people, like ability 0 is the one you always get, and then the one next to it.
Yeah, people have an area of expectation about where their mouse is going to go, don't they? So
exactly.
That's certainly something that we can look into. And one thing that none of us have really discussed is diplomacy. So we'll have to work on that.
What's that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's irrelevant. But yeah, I think we're getting towards where we want to be. I'm fairly happy.
The feds are very far along, which is a nice thing.
I mean, the Klinks aren't that far behind. The Klingons, they've got most of their space frame research up here. They are lacking building research, if you like, or starbase research, etc. But I'll be doing that over the next week or so. Logistics, they've got the same amount as the feds. Now, this is where they're lacking. really. I haven't done their weapon upgrades. I haven't done their shield upgrades, etc. So, again, that's something that's going to come hopefully over the next week or two.
That's good. Yeah, of course, there's definitely interesting things that can be done with diplomacy, and we'll get to that, Sundered, but it's just something we haven't really thought of at this point yet.
Like, we know the basic things that we need to do. I think there
are
certain
research.
Again, we haven't really discussed it at this point, but there are certain things I'm thinking of not doing this time round.
Facts and research.
Star Trek Armada 3, exactly. It had research that required a pact for you to be able to research it first. And that confused a lot of players. They said, "Why can't I research this?"
Maybe that requires a more a better explanation in the string, like
possibly so. Our explanations of things weren't the best.
No,
you'll probably see, folks. If I just hover over this, I think my head might actually be in the way.
It's yeah, it is. Let me check.
Hang on, it's all right, I can sort this.
It's also not legible quality-wise.
Isn't it?
No, your Discord quality is not that great.
Oh, in that case.
Plus, you're streaming up too. But it says effect. Basically, we have a little line. Orion Slaver, who's been doing our strings. He's been putting things like effect on the string, on the ability, to tell you what it does in kind of a Trek feel and practical way. Because we want to make it, of course, interesting lore-wise, but also have it be something that the players can understand while reading it in a glance, not that they have to read through a whole bunch of Trekno-babble in order to figure out what the hell an ability is doing.
Yeah, so we directly say what the effect of what you're researching or doing is, and then we'll put some babble afterwards if we feel like it's needed.
Also, we can empty out that changes faction from Fed to Fed test. If we make that empty, it won't even show a string. If we put just an empty string on, but Federation and Fed test, it'll still show up. Yeah. Damn it.
Yeah, I'll just change the new faction from Fed test to I don't know, something.
Yeah.
But as I say,
changes faction from United Earth to United Federation of Planets.
I suppose it would be, yeah. So our pirate raiders are on the list. So I think a lot of what we've got done so far, it stands us in good stead. And the way that we're working on our naming conventions, it's going to allow us to make things easier for the future, I suspect.
Rossius, I don't think it'd be appropriate for the timeline to add an Excelsior in this era of the mod, considering the Constitution is your Titan.
That's right. The Excelsior wouldn't have been developed by the end of the timeline in AOTF 1. Now, AOTF 2, that's a different story.
That's a whole other ballpark there, buddy.
But that's very much dependent on us finishing AOTF 1, of course. AOTF 2 is going to be closer to a skin change. Rather than a total development. So we'll be using AOTF 1 as a base, changing the models, changing some of the locations of the researches.
Adding a bit of research when it comes to certain things we're going to do with it.
That's right. So it's not going to be a huge, long, endless development cycle.
However, a lot of the abilities and researches will stay the same. They might just have a new string. The UI is going to stay largely the same. Basically, it's a Age of the Federation will be a compilation of mods that progress you through the Trek timeline. I'm personally really looking forward to AOTF 2.
I am. It's just a matter of us, as long as we get AOTF 1, this one, right, and we make it, we get everything where we want it, we get the basic building blocks of the mod correct, it's going to make any future mods that we do with this as a base so much easier. So that's why we're taking our time with this. That's why we're not rushing this one out.
Exactly.
There we go. And I see that Master Chief is in the YouTube chat at the minute. Hey, Master. And he's Master has recently joined our team, so he's going to be doing a little bit of work with us. Incidentally, he's got his own mod, which you should probably check out. It's on ModDB. There we go. Am I a special man of Win?
What?
Am I a moderator in the chat?
I don't know.
Okay. Is there anything else we need to talk about, or any questions that you guys have to ask us, folks?
Oh, let me.
Okay, it doesn't look like anybody else has got any questions, so I
No.
think we can probably call it quits now.
Yeah. Folks, thank you for enjoying the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. No, we haven't finished random events yet, Khan. We'll be going into that later. So I'd say have a nice evening all, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for joining us, folks.
Bye-bye.